Hey guys, welcome back to Covenant Canon. For over a decade now, we've always associated the Covenant Remnants with Jul Mdama and his group. But, what if I were to tell you that he was not the first to claim the mantle of the Covenant? In fact, there was a Covenant Remnant leader that arose just after the Covenant War ended in 2553. Well, I'm gonna break down everything we know about this leader and his group, and how and why they were able to arise so quickly after the end of the Covenant War. This will be something of a breakdown slash theory sort of video, and I would love to know what you guys think. So after this video, do be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And with that, let's break down everything we know about Merg and his Covenant. In 2553, the UNSC and the allied Sangheli group that would later be known as the Swords of Sanghelios signed the Treaty of 2553. By the end of the war, most of the Covenant leadership was either dead or fled into wild space, and the Arbiter, Thelvadam, was recognized as the former leader of the Sangheli species. With his signature to the treaty, the Covenant's war had ended. But not all members of the now defunct Covenant had accepted this treaty. One such was the Zealot Merg. He rallied a formidable fleet and attacked the UNSC colony of Dratheus V. With his fellow Sangheli, augmented by grunts, jackals, and even brutes, he besieged the human colony and laid waste to the UNSC forces. But this invasion was all but a distraction for Merg to acquire his true prize, a Forerunner weapon found on one of Dratheus V's moons. In fact, the moon itself was the weapon. Known only as X-50, this weapon was made by the Forerunners to create and destroy planets. Through unknown means, he activated the weapon and used it to destabilize Dratheus V, scattering the UNSC forces and leaving his own forces in disarray. Vol was tracked down by UNSC forces and was later assassinated by the Spartan commander Sarah Palmer, who then deactivated the weapon, saving Dratheus V and allowing the UNSC forces to evacuate safely. With their leader dead, the survivors of Merg's Covenant scattered into unknown space. Some would become mercenaries, arms dealers, or members of other Covenant Remnant groups. One such was Merg's own brother, Pargvol, who later became an associate to another Remnant group led by the Covenant cultist leader, Jul Mdama. Now with that brief history lesson over with, let's examine what we know about Merg as a character. This is what we know. Merg was at one point a zealot within the Covenant, and with these photos that I have displayed here, it can be reasonably assumed that he was part of some chapter that involved the Heshedoran Zealots, for his armor is nearly identical to the zealots that we see fighting for Jul Mdama, and those zealots originated from Heshedoros, the homeworld of Jul Mdama's Covenant. And just recently, in a Canon Fodder article, we learned that he is the brother of Pargvol, one of Jul Mdama's most trusted commanders, and a target that we have to hunt down in episode 3 of Spartan Ops. And that's just about it. He's really an obscure character that we know practically little of. And with that, let's turn our attention to the forces he commanded in Spartan Assault. In the very first cutscene of the game, we see that Merg has at least 3 assault carriers along with a dozen cruisers. And as we progress throughout the game, we see that he commands a fairly modern Covenant Remnant group. He has elites, grunts, jackals, drones, and surprisingly, brutes. And interestingly, they bore no resemblance to Jul Mdama's group. They don't appear like some scavengers or Covenant cultists. On the contrary, Merg Vol's forces look like your standard Covenant infantry forces that you encountered throughout the war. They have phantoms, wraiths, shades, tyrants, spirits, and even a mega turret. Now with all this, I can only assume that the fleet that Merg Vol commanded was comprised of some Covenant battle group that existed before the Great Schism, before the Covenant shattered into many pieces. Now either Merg Vol persuaded the Supreme Commander to follow him to Dratheus 5, or Merg Vol was in fact the Supreme Commander of this fleet, or at the very least, its Fleet Master. He might have been part of some Covenant invasion group before the Great Schism ever happened. Which also begs the question, how did he know about Dratheus 5 and X50? Were I to guess, I would assume that whatever mission Merg Vol was on before the Covenant splintered, he might have found the location of X50 and Dratheus 5 through some Forerunner ruins. It wouldn't be the first time this has happened. Jul Mdama discovered the location of Requiem in Onyx, another Forerunner shield world. It wouldn't surprise me if Merg Vol found the location of Dratheus 5 through some Forerunner ruins on a human planet, or some other archaeological find that he conducted before the Covenant fell apart. Now, this is all just speculation at this point. We have no idea why Merg Vol attacked Dratheus 5 and how he discovered X50, or even how he assembled his fleet. And I would very much like to know how he recruited Jirohanai into his group, seeing as the Jirohanai as a species revile the Sangheili. I could honestly see Merg Vol persuading some pious Jirohanai to follow him in the name of the Great Journey or some other offshoot of the religion. And lastly, let's go over his brother, Parg Vol. Now as I said early on, he is confirmed to be the brother of Merg Vol, and we also learn that the reason why he joined Jul Mdama's Covenant was to avenge his brother and find a worthy ally against the UNSC. Now everything we know about his involvement in Merg Vol's Covenant is less than clear. It can be reasonably assumed that he was one of Merg Vol's most trusted lieutenants, if not his second in command. After all, they were brothers, and Parg Vol had some military experience throughout the Covenant War. All that we do know is that his personal phantom was stolen by Sarah Palmer after the events of Dratheus 5. How he escaped the planet after it was destabilized is unknown. He could just as easily hijacked another Covenant transport and escape the planet, or he might have evacuated on a Covenant ship, or he was never on the planet to begin with. But by whatever means, he did escape Dratheus 5. And like I said, he joined up with Jul Mdama, only to be later assassinated by Fire Team Crimson during the events of the Requiem campaign. And that's pretty much all we know about Merg Vol and his Covenant. Now between you and me, I would love to know more about this character and how he came to form this formidable fleet that we only encounter in one game. At the very least, we need to have a Waypoint Chronicle detailing his origins, or even maybe a story that is set during the Covenant War. But what do you guys think of Merg Vol? Should he get his own story in a book, or just a Waypoint Chronicle article? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time guys, may the light of the rings guide your path. Victory to clan and kin, Covenant fans. Covenant Canon, out.